welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I've got some fun crafts for you today. I'll be joining in with a few sweet friends. I'll explain those details a little bit later. I almost forgot what I was going to say. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some rustic Christmas in July crafts, so let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I'm going to be working with these greenery bushes I picked up at Walmart on clearance last year. They were $2 a bundle, and I have 3 out here now, but this particular bundle of branches took me 5 to do the project I'm doing today. I'm also working with this spindle that I've had in my supply for a while, and I've got a piece of wood here, salvage wood board, that my husband's going to, screw some screws in from the bottom into that spindle to make it, sturdy. And here's it all done. I did just sand slightly because there were some dirty spots, but I'm pretty much leaving it like it is. I like the rustic and everything. There you can see the screws he's put in there. It's going to work out wonderful for us. So I'm working with a drill bit here that is roughly the size of my greenery. Okay, so that's what you're going to want to look for. I'm going to cut it all apart, branch by branch here. I really want to do another one of these because while I liked this one, it still wasn't the one in my brain. I want one with those big kind of fat, long, snowy branches to make, the ones you can buy like the trees already done at Hobby Lobby, but I want to make my own. So anyway, because I thought you wanted to know that. I'm going to start out with the top. I'm going to drill a hole off camera because it's just too hard here. And I've taped off, so it's going to be about 1/2 inch length in holes that I'm going to drill here. Here the hole is ready to go, and I'm just sticking a top branch in there for now. I will glue these once I get them into position. I'll do a batch at a time, and I'll use my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue to glue them in, okay? Your holes, basically, I'm starting on one side, then I'm going to, go to the opposite side, drill a hole, then I'm going to come down kind of slanted in between those 2 holes, so basically kind of as my fingers going, 2 on one side, drop down slanted, 2 on another. And then I am going to take my drill bit because I want my branches to slant downward. And it's a little bit easier if you can kind of just start your hole first and then tip your drill down and drill up. Now, yes, you could drill in straight, but then you have to bend your branches down by drilling in at a slant. Now look, my branches are already down. I just have to fluff them out. So there's not a lot to this project except just kind of showing you how I'm drilling the holes, kind of where I'm placing them. I'm putting the holes pretty far apart at first, and I'm going to, show you kind of the top half of the holes that I'm drilling. And then as I fill in the branches, I will go in and I will add more holes. So I'm just kind of doing a start with the holes that I need, okay? And then, like I said, as I add branches in, I can see where more branches are needed to kind of fill in the spots. Now, you can make this as sparse or as full as you want it. With the type of greenery I had, I felt like I needed to go more sparse. But see how my holes are kind of going, slanted. Here's one up, and then I go down and down. They're really kind of far apart, maybe like a diamond pattern, so to speak. And I'm going to continue this process going downward down the pole. I'm going to probably stop about maybe 8-10 inches up from the bottom because I do want a little bit of my spindle to show. Now you could totally really make it rustic and use a nice big, thick branch, from your yard or something like that would be nice. But once I have a few holes, we're going to start in at the top, and this is going to look really ugly at first. I kid you not. It does not look horrible. It looks ugly, but don't worry, we will fill it in. So I put a few branches up at the top, looking horrible, and then I'm starting to place my branches at the bottom. I am keeping some branches. As you go down, your branches will be long, common sense, but I still want some longer branches. I cut them longer so that they were longer. The appearance is going to seem longer because you're going farther down the pole, but I still want them longer. So I'm just stuffing in, and I stuff in a few at a time and then see if that's how I like it. And then I go back in and I glue the ones in that I like the position they're at. So a lot of this is just seeing me stuff holes with branches. And like I said, I mean, this wasn't I don't think I said it. It wasn't the picture I was picturing, but I like how it came out because I really want one of those kind of rustic, snowy, branchy looking trees, but I just didn't have enough in my stock to do this. So here I am kind of bending some branches down. Don't worry, all this will get filled in. Like I said, it's really ugly looking right now because that looks totally funny. But you're like, what are you doing? Believe me, I was thinking the same thing. This isn't going to work, but it does in the end. So now you can see I put a board behind me. I'm sorry, I know it doesn't look pretty, but the window was casting some weird shadows. So I've got it mostly in there, branches. Now I'm just trying to fill in to make it not look so sparse, because for some reason with these branches, it doesn't look good sparse and rustic. It looks better filled in because I actually wanted that kind of sparse look at first. But, you do with what you have. And being these only cost me $2 a bundle, that's $10. I think the spindle cost me $3, so $13. And I'm making this thing, and it's gigantic, okay? So anyway, just continuing on, letting you see my process here as I put branches in, seeing where I want them. Like I said, I'll poke some in where I need them first as I drill extra holes, and I'll go back later and kind of tug on them and like, did I glue that one? Okay, I didn't. Add some glue and put it in. So now it's ready. You'll see the finished process at the end. I'm keeping you in suspense. So what I've got here is just a couple of ripped strips of fabric about 1.5 inches wide, and I put them together, kind of make a double bow, and I'm going to glue that at the base, and then I'm just going to kind of wrinkle and crinkle my ends and glue them down around. I don't want to hold lot in this base because I want the tree to kind of stand out for itself. I want a little decoration, but not much. If I was making the other tree I wanted, I probably wouldn't do any decoration at all. But for some reason, this tree and the snowiness and the branches have tiny little red berries. I don't know if you can see that. It just needed a little something more at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to do this and add like a couple of rusty bells, a pine cone, a rusty star, kind of keeping that rustic look going on. Now we'll come in with our bells. I got these in like a big bundle of them at Joann's last year, rusty bells. But Hobby Lobby has rusty bells in containers, all separate. But I love the style of these bells. So I'm adding a couple, adding in the pine cone I mentioned. And then it just needed one more thing. So I'm adding a little rusty star here. And then I decided it needs one more thing on the tree itself, and that was some lights. So I'm coming in with some of these lights from Dollar Tree. I have some of this removable kind of gel tape I picked up at Dollar Tree as well, and I'm going to put it on the back of the light case. Make sure the front is open so you can access the batteries, and I have a nice wide spot down here at the base that I can just tack that to, and I'm adding another little piece of that gel tape to kind of hold the wire up so it's really nice and hidden. And then I'm just going to go ahead and wire these lights, these cute little lights, LED lights up and through the tree. It just gives it a little something something that makes this project complete, and we'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. For today's video, I'm joining in with my sweet and beautiful friends Emily, who is Farm Charm Chic here on YouTube, and Patty, who is Patty J. Good here on YouTube. Y'all probably know them, but just in case somebody doesn't, we are going to bring you tons of Christmas in July inspiration today, all that your heart can hold just for you. I will have a link to a playlist in my description box as well as pinned in my comments so you can go check out all the projects in one convenient location. With that said, let's move right on into project number 2. For this project, another rustic one, of course, I found 2 of these beautiful wooden stars, $7 a piece at a thrift store. Well, the paint job's not so beautiful, but I love the thickness and the quality of this wood star. I think it is handmade. And this fun kind of 2-piece wooden set, love the metal on it. It's got 2 spots where it's got this metal that kind of holds the 2 pieces of wood together. Found that at Habitat for Humanity, and I'm going to do this thrift board or salvaged thrift board, probably about 14 inches long for the base. I'm going to sand all of this off on camera. I'm just going to completely sand this down to bare bones. We're going to fix it up a little bit. Here it is, all sanded and ready to go. Now these 2 pieces are nice light in color. This one's a little bit dark, but we'll make it match. I've got it cut to about a 27-inch length. Now this point already there on the board is perfect for screwing it to the point of the star, and then we'll screw it again to the base of the star. And then once I wood glue this together, because it's the 2 pieces kind of loose, joined by that little metal bracket. My brain's like, what was this used for? Anyway, once that's set, then we'll screw the whole thing to the base. I don't show you that part, I forget, but he screws it to the base just like we did the tree. Okay, so here everything is ready to go. I want to cover this. I thought about just painting it and distressing it, but I thought I want to make it kind of look quilted. So I've got a piece of typing paper here. I'm just going to kind of form it and shape it to one of the points on the star. It's all pretty much the same measurements and everything. And I'm going to cut this out. And I've got just like half of a star here. I've cut it so it's a little bit short. So you see a little bit of that wood perimeter all the way around. You all know how I usually like to do that. I like to have a little wood showing. And of course, going to need 10 of these cut out. What I'm going to do is I've got this kind of scrap piece of quilted bedding I bought at Amazon, and making sure it just kind of fits my star. And it does for a nice scrap piece. And I was only going to cut one of these and just cut it out, each piece out separately, but I do kind of want it in the same area so it looks like we matched it together. So I'm laying them on my quilt. If you don't have like a pattern on your quilt, no need to worry about it, but I kind of want to lay them together so that the pattern is together, making sure that, again, it fits as I add the paper on it, and then I'll go ahead and pin them all to the quilt. And then, of course, I will cut them out. I will spare you from that, and I will cut everything out off camera. All right? Okay, now before we go, usually you see one tail in my videos. We all know this is Bella. But for today, I wanted you to meet another new little member of the family. This is Boston. Boston is a female Maine Coon. I had a friend of mine who her sister had a litter, so we ended up with this beautiful little Maine Coon. Look they're already the best of friends. So you'll be seeing Boston here and there, probably with Bella, maybe a bit of their tails in the video, maybe a foot or two, but I wanted you all to meet Boston. She's just going to be so pretty when she gets older. We wanted a ragdoll, and then we wanted a Maine Coon as well, and we thought we'd never get a Maine Coon, but God was smiling down on us, and so we have one. So here what I'm doing, let's get off of that subject, is I'm just sewing around each of my pieces to kind of give it that country quilted look. I'll sew all of them off camera. See, you didn't even have to watch the sewing part because I had your attention riveted with the cat story, right? And then I'm coming in with Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color drop cloth, painting and lost the top of my thing for where the brush is, and I'm like, forget it, just stick it on my finger, and I kept on going. I didn't feel like washing it off and trying to glue it together. I'm like, I'll glue it later, I'll stick it on my finger, it fits, and I'm just going around the outer hey, a crafter's got to keep crafting, going around the outer perimeter. Here comes Boston walking through, just to give it some color, because obviously, I cut the quilt pieces a little bit short all the way around. I'm trying to keep Boston away from it so she doesn't have, wet paint all over her. So here's my pieces sewn. You can see just around the edges. I did a little bit darker thread so that you could see it, and I wanted to stress the edges, so I'm just using some sandpaper here. It's nice and quick and easy, and sanding around the edges of each of my pieces. Setting that aside, now we're going to go in and make a nice little quilted tag for the center of our star. I'm just using some muslin here, and I'm ripping it down to probably about a 3x5 size, and I'm going to also cut some batting, and I'm going to sandwich it in between two pieces of muslin, give us that nice quilted look. And then of course I will sew around that tag so it matches the sewing on all of my star pieces. Okay, I just thought this would look really pretty as kind of a quilted looking star, and I think I made it work. Here's what the sewing looks like on the tag, and the nice kind of distressed threads coming out around the end. And now what I want to do, since we painted all that, and this is rustic and a little bit of our wood's going to show, I'm going to come in and take off some of that paint and give it a rustic look just around all the sharp edges in the center, so that it just really allows our quilted star look to have that nice kind of country, rustic, farmhouse, however many words I can describe, look. Okay, then we'll go into our next part. But yeah, you could have just painted the whole thing and then just distressed it and left it like that if you wanted. That's definitely a look, because I almost went that way. Now I'm using my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue, and I'm going to start gluing on the separate star pieces. I'll just do a few here for you, and then of course finish the rest off camera. I'm liking the way this looks, better than my head had anticipated it would look, so I'm okay with that. And I know, oh, did I forget to tell you, I also cut out, because I just saw that, I'm so sorry, I wanted it a little bit more quilted looking, so I cut out some batting as well with each of the points to fit the star. So it's batting and then the quilted bedding on top of that. Now what I'm doing is the star's done. Of course, you'll see that later on at the end of the video, adding some greenery and stuff down at the bottom because the star doesn't have a lot going on. Okay, so I wanted to just give it a little bit more. So doing some of my snowy greenery. See those branches I've laid down there and I'm laying down now? Those were the type of branches I originally wanted to do my rustic tree with, but didn't have enough. I think they would look cool if you have some really long style ones, and I know Hobby Lobby does, but that's okay. I can definitely make another one. So adding in all different types of greenery here, just off askew a little bit to the right side. That's just because it's how I want it. And I love long pine cones with, you know, fake snowy on it. So I'm adding a couple of those in there. This is a pine cone pick that had fake snow on it. So I'm adding some more here. I think it just needs a little bit more to kind of give it that outside look. Perfect. And I'm going to add another little rusty bell in here. Got to add the rusty bell. Wonderful. And then just a little bit more greenery needed to fit in here. It had a little naked spot. And how many more pine cones can I get? Just one more. All right, so I have some fabric here again. I ripped a couple pieces about 1.5 inches, tied them together for a bow, and I'm going to put them right at the base of that star. I went back and forth where I wanted it and decided it just looked a little better at the base. And then I'm using my Michael's Clickable Stamps and ink pad and stamping Oh Holy Night on the tag. I'm going to glue that tag to the center of our star, and then I've got a little button here I've added some twine to, a little twine bow, and I'm going to put that right in the center of the tag. And now I want to take and just use my Distress Oxide ink in Vintage Photo and just distress up the stars a little bit. It's a little bit too clean. It doesn't quite go in with the rustic of the wood, and I thought it would kind of help tie in that darker centerpiece of wood a little bit better. I'll also add some at the bottom. See, I'm doing it around the edges, leaving the center around the greenery a little bit lighter, but it helps draw in the darkness of that center pole, and I think it fits together a lot better. That makes this project complete. Let's move right on into our last project, number 3. So for this project, I had all the fabric picked out, and then I went to a thrift store and I found these couple of placemats that are all quilted Martha Stewart placemats. Perfect color green because I was going to do green anyway. I have some green fabric here, some burlap from Dollar Tree, and one of these spindles. You can find these in a lot of places. And this little base that comes in these, you know, when you buy them at like Dollar Tree and whatnot. And I'm like, I'm just going to use that. And the plastic, it's already in. But you could, you know, have like a little bag of rocks and stuff. What I want to do is use the white burlap here and just, we're going to use that to create the base around this styrofoam kind of cement thing. Just like the base it already had with the darker burlap. We're just going to do it in white. Easy. So what I'm doing is I folded my placemat in half and I found the center at the top, and now I'm just kind of drawing our tree, and I'm just going to cut it out 2 pieces. Now I actually go to use the inside of this because even though it's the raw side, the back side of the placemat, I like the way it looks a little bit better with the way the thread looks. I don't know. I like it just looking backwards. Anyway, so I'm cutting that all down. And I love it because it is just this beautiful quilty look cut along the edges. Now, if you're a gluer, you're going to glue all the way around, but leave a spot open for your spindle or your tree branch or something like that. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to probably go see how much room I need here because I'm going to sew all the way around. Probably about 1.5 inches in the center here I'm going to leave open. Okay, so again, just sewing all the way around all 3 sides, leaving that center open. I feel like I just repeated myself. I know I did, didn't I? Well, in case somebody was taking a sip of coffee or something and you didn't hear it, now you know what I'm doing. It's the humor today. It's in fine form, everybody. All right, finishing up around this. Yeah, I had green fabric picked out, and of course, like I said, thrift store, and I saw these. I'm like, oh, perfect. It'll give me a quilted tree look. Super, super cute. I like how it kind of turns out. Now I'm going to take and use some of this stuffing from Dollar Tree. This is the world's softest stuffing ever. It's so slickery. It's almost like rabbit fur, but go ahead and stuff your piece as full as you want it. All right, and then I'm going to take some of that sandpaper again and really sand along the edges to bring out that beautiful looking cut quilted look. And if you don't have a quilt or a placemat napkin you can cut up, do as I usually do. I cut out fabric and then I cut out some batting with it, and you just sew the pieces together that way. So you've got your top and bottom will be a piece of fabric, and then inside you'd have two pieces of batting, and you'd sew it together. It's going to give you that same look. So I'm just making sure now to see how this will fit, make sure it fits okay inside of our base. If you're a gluer, you can go ahead and glue that together. I'm going to wait just a moment, and I'm going to work on some other stuff before I go ahead and glue that spindle inside of our tree. Again, I'm making another little quilted tag here. This is actual drop cloth I picked up at Harbor Freight, and I cut it down pretty wide here, again about another 3x5, but then later I end up cutting it even skinnier, probably about a 2x5, I guess. I have some ripped material here. Ripped it in one big long strip, and I sewed around it just to give it that quilted look. And here's what my tag looks like, sewed around it twice, sandwiched in between with batting, 2 pieces of drop cloth, batting in the center, sewed around it. And now I'm taking those clickable stamps and stamping the word Mary. Again, I have another button. I'm going to ink around the edges again with that Distress Oxide ink in Vintage Photo. And I'll ink along the front and back of the tree as well, just to give it a little bit of a more rustic kind of vintage look. Doesn't take much, but yeah, I love that quilted look. It's perfect timing. And now I'll go ahead and get that spindle in there. I'm satisfied with a few things I worked on. We're going to glue that right in and then glue the material around it. I'll just hold it for a minute. Once it's set up, we'll move on. And it's set up, so we're going to move on. And I'm going to go ahead and take that strip of fabric I ripped and start to tie it into a bow. Not quite yet, but get it started. And I'm going to start gluing in. I have some greenery, some rusty stars, some little wood slices that came on a pick. I have a little red plaid tree here that came in on a pick. It's up in the upper right-hand corner. It actually looks good on here. I'm going to put a tree on a tree. Finished tying my bow there, and I've got my tree in. And I see how my other pieces, I like how they're arranged. I'll stick them in to see how I like them at first, of course, and then pull them back out and go ahead and glue them into position. And I like to add different types of greenery and stuff on here. I just think it lends to, the rustic look, adding in the wood slice. You can't find these little wood slice picks anymore. Joanne's used to have them all the time. I'm down to like my last 3. And then I'm going to wrinkle and crinkle the tails of the ribbon of the bow, because you wanted to know I was down to my last wood slice. And then of course I'm going to take my ink and dirty that bow up a little bit. And then of course around the back side, you got to make sure the back matches. It's all nice and finished off. Now I'm going to tuck my little tag in here, get it where I want, and go ahead and glue that into position. And I'll add just a little wrinkle at the bottom here. I like to do that, kind of wrinkle it up just a slight and then glue it into place. And then I've got this is a little ornament from Walmart, little mini ornaments. I'm going to tuck that in, and then I'm going to add my button with a twine bow through it. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue down the twine tails because I want them in the position that they are. And then I'm going to take this whole spindle and get it glued into this styrofoam / cement base. So you can go to Dollar Tree and find some of these that are already done and pull them apart, or you can just put some rocks in the bottom of if you wanted to put this in a bucket or something like that. I almost did that because I still walk by and think, do I like the burlap around the base of the tree? I'm still thinking on it. It might turn out different later. I might disassemble it, but there you go. So of course I get that glued into that base, and then I take that white burlap and I just scrunch it up around it. And then I've got some really thick twine here. I've tied it into a bow around it after I arranged kind of the excess pieces of burlap that are hanging out into position I want it. Added a couple of rusty bells, and then I'll cut off the excess and kind of smoosh the ends here. That way this burlap matches with the other burlap and the other bows and stuff I did. Perfect. And then of course one last little bit is inking up the burlap because it looks too pretty. That makes this project complete. So I hope you liked all the projects I came up with today. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite, which one is going at the top of your to-do list. Maybe it's one, maybe it's all three, maybe it's two, maybe it's none. There's only a few simple choices here, people. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, we are in the month of July, and all month long, it's Christmas in July. Before you click off, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another project from me. Remember, this video is in collaboration with my sweet friends Emily, Farm Charm Chic here on YouTube, and Patty, who is Patty J. Good here on YouTube. Our playlist link will be in the description box as well as pinned in my comments, so make sure you go check those videos out to get more Christmas inspiration to add to your to-do list. Thank you, Patty and Emily, once again. I love collaborating with you both. We'll do it again soon. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Helping others when you need help yourself can be difficult, especially when your focus is solely on Jesus fixing your own situation. Sometimes, though, in order for him to fix your problems, he needs to use your chains to help someone else. As you live your life that Jesus gave you, you must let his light shine forth. You must reach out to those that Jesus says listen, because they might need a moment to be heard. You must reach out to those that Jesus says help, because they might need a way to stand up. You must reach out to those that Jesus says love, because they may need some comfort. You should be willing, no matter what your circumstance, to serve and not just be served. As Jesus lived, he daily sacrificed his time and energy, moving from location to location to spread the word of his Father and willingly heal those yearning to be whole again. Jesus left nothing to chance. He left nothing unfinished. He trusted his sidekicks and had help when he needed help, and today, Jesus may need your help. Try to reciprocate his act of grace as you approach those that Jesus leads you to. You may be their word of encouragement or their desire for hope this particular day. It can be difficult showing compassion or kindness in the state of the world today, but this is exactly the right time to let your attitude be genuine, be real, be honest, just as Jesus' attitude was. In other words, be Jesus with skin on. Being Jesus with skin on means to walk, talk, and act like Jesus. He taught you that no matter what kind of day you're having, you must always practice love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. He taught you the fruits of the Spirit. It can be difficult to smile when your day is in the dumps, but try and focus on what God is trusting you to help him with. You don't know what another person is experiencing, and your gracious attitude toward them may be just what they need to feel the compassion that Jesus wants for them in that very moment. God wants to use you. He trusts you to be his sidekick in today's age. So stand at the pulpit and deliver his message of love to whomever he leads you toward. By shedding his light in someone else's life moment, you will inevitably feel the warmth of his light in your own life. This light, followed by his grace, allows you to have your own hope. A complete circle, light, grace, and hope of God's love surrounding you, protecting you, and I think that this kind of love just might give your bad day a new outlook. What do you think? I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.